Hello and happy Monday. Welcome to today's live. My name is Maggie and I'm here with Purse Strings. We're on every week to provide some financial educations, tips, tricks, know-how, and then when you need a professional to put things in transition or transaction, we have top tier financial professionals who love to serve the female market. We call those our Purse Strings approved professionals. And Heather, I always get this wrong. Heather today is one of them. So we're so excited to have Heather on. And today we're going to be talking about estate planning counselor. Being an estate planning counselor is a certificate that Heather has, but we'll dive all into that today. Just want to make sure everyone knows what the topic is. So before we dive in, Heather, would you give us a little introduction about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm in Canada and I am a fee-for-service financial planner. So I've been working in the industry for over 30 years and primarily started, really just because my mom was having some issues with the person that she was dealing with. I didn't really think that they were offering her the best advice. It was a male, which isn't a bad thing because I know there's some wonderful, male approved purse strings members, but it just at that point it wasn't, he just didn't understand what her needs were. So I started in the industry doing, helping women figure out what their financial helping them with their finances and giving them some peace of mind. And then it evolved into, so I have the CFP designation. I have the EPC, which is Elder Planning Counselor designation. I have a CDFA, which is a Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. So primarily a lot of, issues that women specifically are dealing with, and just giving them clarity about, their finances and their future with, a secure, safe space. Because I think that that's one thing, women want a safe space where they can talk about issues that are concerning them without feeling judged. So, that's what I, make sure I offer is a safe space.
That's exactly what we love here at Purse Strings. And, we try to make all these calls just a very safe space as well. So anyone jumping in, wanting to ask questions, all questions are great. We can't wait to take them as well. So pop them in the chat. And so, let's get a little financially fearless today and learn about being an elder planning counselor. So let's just start with, what is it?
So elder planning counselor is a designation that is conferred by the Canadian Initiative for Elder Planning Studies. And it is offered on both sides, of the border and globally, because it is an issue that, everyone faces. So it was started in Canada and basically to provide education and give people in-depth knowledge and understanding of those, for those over the age of 55, really. But there's really three components. So there's boomers, who are 57 to 76, older Gen Xers who are, 57 to 56, 57. And then the silent generation, which is kind of those over 76. And they all have unique issues, and the EPC designation, the information that we learn gives us specific tools to help, those in each of those areas and demographics. And it's not just, financial people. So it's, there's over 4,000 elder planning counselors across North America. They're social workers, they're nurses, they're occupational therapists, lawyers, insurance, accounting, realtors, funeral directors. So it deals with all areas of aging that, and the thing is that it brings it all together, because that's the issue is people deal with so many different people and they don't really know, can I ask that person, or is everyone on the same page? Is my accountant going to help me with the same information that, my financial planner is going to help me with? And then, how does that integrate with, my health needs? So that's really what an EPC elder planning counselor does. And it's a total needs approach. And as you age, there's, different things that are important and different things that happen that, traditionally, on the financial side, people may not be able to focus on. And, I like the designation itself is called elder because, implies a level of wisdom and respect shown to, that demographic. And
Definitely.
they're different, different mentality as far as values and what's important, to them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
So it seems like, being an elder planning counselor, this can really be from ages, 55 to 80, which, like you explained, are very different stages. So do you have a couple different examples you could share with us about,
that, from 55 to, 100 or plus, I mean, that's a huge demographic. And
right.
because I mentioned that there was the three components kind of those different ages, there's not only, maybe elder parents, it may be boomers and Gen X's who are dealing with those elderly parents. So, caregiving issues, things like that.
Yeah.
So an elder planning counselor really can give guidance, and assistance to, what's in the best interest of, the older person, and help the family members bridge, any gap between knowledge that they might not have. It accommodates, things like talks about their health and physical challenges, and it also, there's a specific education in the program that, talks about dealing with people with physical disabilities as well. So, learning how to speak to that, demographic, understanding their health issues, values, especially. Trust is one thing that's really important. So making sure that you focus on, what's important to them, and that you're sincere about what you're talking about, because, at the end of the day, I think that everyone seems to be focused on selling a product without actually providing a solution. So that's really what, it's an overview process. So, we can help with things like, just aging and health issues. So there's really kind of four components. There's aging and health issues. There's, social and psychological issues. There, the financial issues. And then there's, the communication and, other issues. So, dealing with, what happens if you have dementia? And can you age in place? What if there's a chronic illness that you hadn't thought about you need to manage? I've dealt with people where they thought they did everything right on the financial side. They had their numbers in place. They, planned properly. They wanted to gift money to their kids. But what they didn't plan for was one person getting dementia and not being able to live together. So now they have this property where they have that cost, but also the cost of long-term care, and dealing with also the emotional and loneliness of the person who is not with their spouse anymore. So there's so many other issues than just the financial, because on paper, you can really make anything look good. But it's all the emotional, impact. And then, as if it was two parents, that had to go into long-term care, then how do you deal with all this stuff? And how do you deal with the emotional issue of, what's important to me is, maybe not important to my mom, who's, 30 years older, and vice versa. I may look at something and say, oh, Mom, that's just junk. And then she'll break down and cry because, that's something that's important to her. So it's just understanding, all of those, issues, how your health can affect, your financial plan. And then also, the aging in place and, when their roles change from, a parent being the person that needs the care. So the child parenting the parent, and all of the emotional issues that come, with that. So
I was going to say, sorry to interrupt, but having this neutral, almost third party involved who's very educated at this topic seems much easier sometimes to have these conversations, because, as the kid, we can only do so much, or, as a parent, you don't want to give up those those things that you could do, or, to really sit down with your parent and tell them you need to move. It's almost easier to come from this third party where you have this knowledge, this expertise of how we're going to do it and why these more logically why you can't do them or whatever it may be.
Exactly. And that is, you're stepping on eggshells when you're dealing with that. And I think it's also, and I know the relationship between you and your mom is really close. And, but at the end of the day, women, mothers and daughters have a unique relationship. And sometimes we don't always see eye to eye. And so, yeah, trying to deal with that. I mean, I think that when there's a third party involved, my mom will be much more receptive to listening to someone that's not me about what she needs to do. And it's, again, having that third party that has the ability to be a mediator without being seen as a mediator. So,
right.
So that's, one thing. And then, the financial issues. So there's all kinds of things as you age. There's tax credits and health credits. And then you need to look at, cash flow planning and income planning. And, when I started in the industry, GIC rates were 11%. And people didn't worry about what their cash flow and what the market was doing. But now the market is a big issue, right? I mean, people are kind of worried. So we're almost at the cusp where GICs might make sense for people again. So, how does that fit into their financial plan, and how does that impact you tax wise? And, what other resources are available? And then, planning for care costs. And then also maybe your parent wants to move, overseas, and, or you want to move overseas. So, what's all involved in that? I know my mom wanted to go to the US one more time. She's 80 years old, and because of the pandemic, she couldn't go. Ask me how scared I was when I knew she was driving on those highways for a week. And and then all the issues with, in Canada coming back, you have to fill out this, it's called ArriveCan, and she doesn't have a smartphone. She has no idea. So I had to figure out how to coordinate getting all of that paperwork to her while she was in the US. So there's all kinds of challenges, but at the end of the day, there's always solutions. It's just about knowing where to go. And, you can get into like a rabbit hole of looking up information on the internet. But I find that the people that, work with me, they're really appreciative of the fact that even if I don't know the information, I know where to get it quickly. I know where to get the information. And that's the biggest challenge, is getting the right information, making sure that you're not missing out. And also, it's not, working with an elder planning counselor is not an and or. So I work with a lot of other professionals, financial planners, investment advisors, accountants, lawyers, to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we're all making the best decisions in collaboration.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you was, so you're a certified financial professional and an elder planning counselor, so you can really help with all these financial aspects.
Right.
But not everybody with an elder planning counselor can really be doing all these financial items. So that is something I want to kind of clarify, is that not all elder planning counselors can do all these. They might know some of the financial aspects to take into consideration, but you, with your certain array of designations, can help them really intimately with their finances.
Yeah. With that being said, though, I also am happy to collaborate with any other financial professional, because I understand that, as people age, they generally already have that in place. And, you're hoping that are working with someone that's doing a good job. And it's just, at the end of the day, some people, have that specialized, financial piece, and some people have the specialized accounting piece. And it's really just coordinating and bringing it all together.
Definitely. And so when is a good time to kind of hire an elder planning counselor? It seems like you might want to do this earlier in the process to kind of build a relationship.
Yeah. And it generally, the people that will come to me are not the elder, that you would think elder, not like that silent generation over 70, because they're very proud and very independent. And
I was going to say, if I called anybody that age an elder, they would be like, excuse me, who are you talking to?
I know. And very independent. So they think that they, don't need the help. But, so my sister, so my parents are divorced and my dad's on the West Coast, my mom's on the East Coast. So my sister's on the West Coast with him, and, his wife has dementia. So he is having issues dealing with that. And so he needs help, but he doesn't want to ask for help.
Of course.
So it's, how do you manage that? And again, bringing in a professional to say, you know what, this person understands your situation. They've worked with people before. So let's bring them in to, ask the questions. And sometimes it's a collaborative where I'll sit and talk to the caregiver. So usually it's the adult female child, or I will independently speak with, the person that may need the help. And they'll talk to me about things that they won't talk to in front of their children, right?
Yep.
And obviously it's confidential, and I, use the information to, collaborate with the family. So, but really, when you would want to work with someone is, if there's any questions that any of the other professionals that you're working with can't answer, or you don't know where to get the answer, or they're not sure, or you don't like the answer they've been given, or you just want a second opinion, really,
Yeah.
On the collaboration of, how to manage all of that. So, things like, is it better to age in place? And, is there a way to minimize costs before you go into long-term care? And how, does that all work? And is there tax credits involved in modifying a home? And, I know in Canada, there's a tax credit that if you bring your adult parent into your home and modify it, there's tax credits for that. So,
oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, caregiver credits, things like that. And I think the biggest thing is if, you're having an issue dealing with the, that independence of an adult, parent, where there is safety issues and they don't think there is. So it's just bringing in a third party and getting things, understanding what the options are, and, making sure that everyone is comfortable with the solution, and making it, making everyone understand that it's in the best interest of everyone, and that you're there to help as opposed to impose solutions. And, another option is, collaboration with other professionals. So that's another time when I'm, an EPC is good to be brought in.
It's really interesting, all the different, how you can really just take a much more holistic view at it, because there are so many things, and it's a territory that you only go through once, you only really do once. And so you kind of want to make sure you're doing everything right. And, because there's so many decisions to be made, but having somebody who has this expertise, knows what to look for and has gone through it, seems very, very helpful.
Yeah. And, things are evolving. I mean, when originally people were talking about retiring and downsizing and going in long-term care, there wasn't all of the solutions and choices out there. And that makes it even harder, right? Because there's more choices and more, things, to know. And people are living longer and also working longer. I mean, I'm closer to a boomer than I am a Gen Xer. And I really have no interest in retiring. I can't imagine myself just, that whole concept of retirement. And, that seems to be a trend. It's just really, we want to keep busy but at the end of the day, you need solutions that are geared to your specific situation.
Right.
It's really just like anything, just understanding all of your options and working with someone who has the expertise to figure out what is the best. And it's interesting. I was just reading a study today about the Boston College for Retirement Research, and they talked about risks as you retire, and it's kind of goes hand in hand with what an elder planning counselor helps with. So things like longevity risk, I was talking about people living longer and how not to run out of money. And I think it's interesting that a lot of women, for some reason, have this image in their head of, I'm going to be a bag lady kind of thing, which, and I'm going to eat cat food for dinner.
Which is no more. We're not letting that happen.
No. So it's really just, making sure that people understand, what they've been working for. And,
Right.
I mean, I'm a believer in, a little bit of, FOMO, fear of missing out, but also you can plan for the future, but you do have to live for today because you never know what's going to happen.
Right. And there's
So,
a great balance in between. You just need to have a conversation and make a plan, which is really why we love having all these different financial professionals. Talk with them often, make sure you know what your situation is and start planning just for these things so you can live for today and tomorrow and really have the best options out there.
Well, and that's it. And it's great because, PurseString brings it all together. You offer so much, as far as information. And at the end of the day, you can't put a price on peace of mind and understanding,
right.
What your options are. And, I hope that, you, and I think you are, I mean, because I always think, I know PurseStrings would have done that, piece on something. So I'll always kind of look back and things that you've done. So it's just kind of like an EPC for aging is kind of a one-stop shop. Like it's where do you go to get the information, and whether or not, I can help you implement it. I mean, I know where to go to get the information. And I think that's the invaluable piece is having that one place where you can just get all of the information. Because like I said, I mean, the internet is, you can get into a rabbit hole of just all the information out there.
Yeah, there's way too much. If someone has it filtered down for you, that's wonderful. But yeah, knowledge is power. I feel like we've shared a lot of great information today about, being an elder planning counselor. Is there anything else that you want to make sure we share that we haven't touched on yet?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it really just, end of the day, it's, if you have questions, just reach out to, an elder planning counselor or a financial planner or anyone in, that you think might have the information that, that you need. If any, most people will give you that, 30 minutes of their time to make sure that, they can answer some questions. And if they don't know the answers, then provide you, guidance of where to go. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think I did anyway, got into the industry because I wanted to help people. I saw that, my mom was, struggling with working with someone in the financial industry. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. So, I'm happy to, talk to anyone about any issues they have with the elder planning issues. And it's only going to get more of a need because, the demographic is, we're getting older, unfortunately.
It's a changing time. We're going to have to see what happens. But I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this wonderful information with us today, Heather. Heather's email has been going through the bottom, so you could reach out to her. She's also one of our PurseStrings approved professionals, so you could reach out to our site, pursestrings.co, and find Heather there. So reach out if you have any questions. We'll be back here again next week, and we'll talk to everyone soon. So thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much. Take care.